What properties do you observe when you examine matter? Mass is a measure of the amount of matter in an object. Volume is the amount of space matter takes up. Both mass and volume are extensive properties. Extensive properties depend on the amount of matter, mass or volume. Intensive properties depend on the type of matter, not the amount. Example, color, hardness, etc. Matter can exist in different states. For example, to describe water, you might use ice, which is a solid, water which is the liquid state, or steam which is the gaseous state. The three states of matter are shown. Solid is matter with a definite shape and volume. Liquid is matter with a definite volume but not a definite shape. Gas is matter that doesn't have a definite volume or shape. Note: vapor is a gaseous state of a substance that is a liquid or solid at room temperature. What is the difference between a physical change and a chemical change? Physical change means that the composition of matter does not change. With a chemical change, the composition of matter always changes. In other words, a chemical reaction occurs. How can we recognize a chemical change? 1. Energy transfer. Burning of fuel with oxygen releases heat. 2. Color change. Bananas changing color shows a chemical reaction goes on. 3. Precipitate formation. When two liquids react, a solid, precipitate, may form. 4. Gas formation. Mixing baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, and vinegar, acetic acid, causes a chemical reaction that produces a salt, sodium acetate, and water, as well as carbon dioxide gas. Let's have a look at mixtures. A mixture can be defined as a physical blend of two or more components. A heterogeneous mixture is a mixture that has a composition that is not uniform. A homogeneous mixture has a uniform composition. A solution is an example of a homogeneous mixture. Olive oil is a homogeneous mixture, because it contains more than one component, uniformly mixed. Vinegar is a homogeneous mixture as well, since it contains more than one component, uniformly mixed. Mixing olive oil and vinegar creates a heterogeneous mixture. We can recognize two phases. A phase is a part of the mixture with uniform composition and properties. To separate the oil from the vinegar, you can use decantation to separate immiscible liquids. Filtration can be used to separate a solid from a liquid. For example, a coffee filter separates the ground coffee from the brewed coffee. Distillation can be used to separate a liquid from a mixture. For example, to separate the water from a tap water mixture, you can use a distillation apparatus to produce pure distilled water. Substances can be classified as elements or compounds. An element is the simplest form of matter that has a unique set of properties. Elements cannot be broken down into simpler substances. Examples of elements: oxygen, chemical symbol O, and hydrogen, chemical symbol H. A compound is a substance that contains two or more elements that are chemically combined. Example: water, chemical formula is H2O, contains the elements oxygen and hydrogen, in a proportion of 2 hydrogen atoms for 1 oxygen atom. Note: the properties of a compound are often very different from those of the elements that make it up. A chemical change is a change that results in a substance with a different composition. One of the most important laws in chemistry is the conservation of mass. The conservation of mass law states that the amount of matter is conserved in any physical or chemical change. How can we distinguish between a substance and a mixture? The flowchart shows how you can decide whether matter is an element, compound, or a mixture. A mixture of substances can be separated physically into individual substances. A compound can be separated chemically into its elements. Chemical symbols are used to show the elements that make up matter. A chemical symbol contains 1 or 2 letters to represent an element. A formula is used to show the composition of a compound. The subscripts in a formula tell you how many atoms of each element are in the compound. All the elements are organized in the periodic table. A period is a row in the periodic table, and a group is a column in the periodic table. elements in a group have similar properties.